Hello everybody, my name is Rosencrantz and this is Guildenstern and we are very much still alive.
Just kidding, it's Aaron and Ari here. Welcome back to another episode of a podcast where two theatre people who are fairly unqualified in theatreness talk theatre.
Today we're going to be talking about the development of our play, We'll Meet Again, and how the rehearsal process is going, and also kind of what our next steps are developing-wise. We're going to then also talk about what it means to kind of deal with rejection in this industry, because I feel like working in the arts, we have to deal with rejection a lot. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and how we both kind of struggle with that and how we deal with it. We're also going to talk about, the struggles of making a name for yourself nowadays and just how much work needs to be put into that. And how, if you compare yourself to other people, maybe they have some advantages that you don't, and that it's kind of not good to compare. So yeah, we've got a big packed show for you today.
All the things.
All of the things, big ready. So yeah. But we have been rehearsing.
We have been rehearsing.
For real this time.
Hey, we were rehearsing before, but
That's
we're
true.
getting a little bit more into the nitty-gritty stuff and
Yes.
working our butts off a little bit more than we have been in the past.
We've almost blocked the whole thing.
Yeah, we have.
Which is really
For
good.
real this time.
I feel like, we should clarify, but I think from now on we're telling the truth.
Very much so.
So-
And yeah, and we are genuinely about 6 pages from the end.
Yep.
As far as blocking it all goes, and all we've got left is sort of when it starts getting a bit more complicated.
Yeah,
as far
which
as
is,
I would say.
as much as it is the last 6 pages, as because the script is much longer than that,
tricky.
it does feel as if it's still like half of the show to go, because those 6 pages are very dense, and there's a lot of
Yeah.
things that happen in them, and they need to be like blocked properly. So we kind of took a break. I think because I was like, we could probably finish today, and you're like, no, we should probably take a break and come back, because we need to do this right, and we need to do it
we
properly.
don't want to just rush it at the end.
Yeah,
of our
exactly.
rehearsal kind of
So
thing,
there was a good call, and I think that's important to think about in the rehearsal process of just how much. Sure, you can just kind of push everything out and get it all done, but is that product good? Sometimes
is
it's
it
worth
worthwhile?
taking an extra time. And we are ahead of the schedule, not ahead, but we are sitting well into the schedule that we made for ourselves.
We're right on track.
So there's no real rush.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that, we're well where we should be, and there's nothing to worry about in terms of trying to rush or do anything. We're not trying to prove anything to anyone. We're
Exactly.
exactly where we need to be.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I guess the question then becomes I've been thinking a little bit about then what else we have to do still, and we still have quite a few more weeks until we have to start cementing ideas down for production and set design and lighting design and things like that. But my cousin, who I was talking to about the show the other day, gave me an idea, and I thought it was pretty fun. And it was like, so how we were talking about getting plastic tubs, right, to put everywhere?
Yeah.
And he was like, why don't you just, print out a photo or photos of beans or cans and stuff and stick it to the front of the tub so it looks like it's
I've
full.
heard about that before.
Yeah. And I was like, that's actually, so yeah, I mean, maybe that's...
it's really straightforward.
Yeah, it's really easy, and it saves us having to just write beans. We can actually show that there's,
Beans.
stuff in the tubs, or we can even just take a flat image of anything really and make it look as if the tubs are full of stuff.
Yeah.
So those,
That's a
those
really
are all.
straightforward way of creating props.
Yeah, sometimes it's easy for us. We have to start thinking now how much we can simplify the process and make it much easier. And even within the rehearsal space, we're working with props and things that we go, well, how are we really going to have this here? Is this really necessary for us to have this amount of stuff in the space with us at once?
Yeah, I think we started realizing that in the rehearsal now that we're sort of well on our way with blocking in terms of, we'd have written, oh yes, she's got a mug or something, and then in my head I was like, I just had a mug and I just washed it, so will I have that mug now? And so, yeah, props are going to start getting kind of important. And
there's also
complicated.
Yeah, I was just going to say, continuity-wise as well, there was a scene where, oh, well, hang on, I don't have this thing anymore, I put it down over there, but the script says that I pick it up, but that doesn't make sense because I've just put it down. So we're going to have to do, I think you said we should just do a continuity run, which is true. Once we block the whole thing, just
Purely
basically be
continuity.
just to see where the props are and where everything is to make sure that we're not missing anything.
Or we're not
picking
suddenly
things around.
requiring 12 different mugs.
Yeah, exactly.
At, 12 different times.
Or we're not repeating things.
Yeah. So that's definitely starting to where our next steps kind of take us.
Yeah.
For sure.
Also getting into a space, which I think now once we've blocked the show, the question then becomes bumping into a space and making sure that we can suit our blocking to whatever space we end up working in, which is also coming up within the next couple of few weeks now. So that should also be a lot more exciting. Start getting us projection-wise as well, and all the acting and all the movements we're doing need to be kind of exaggerated, considering we're working in a space that's smaller than we're going to be expected to.
Yeah.
So that'll all come with time.
Cool.
But yeah, other than that, I'm not sure what other.
That's all we need to do in terms of updates.
We're doing well.
We did say
the
we weren't
rehearsal
going to
stuff,
blab on about rehearsals, and we've kind of already started doing that, so we're done.
Yeah,
Next
so that's
topic.
good. So yeah, I mean, well, up next is I guess it's hard nowadays. I mean, we've also been working on our own things now, and we're going around and I mean, it's just kind of been on my mind recently. There's like the idea of just how much you really need to be able to deal with rejection when working in an industry like this. And I guess you probably have more experience than me on that.
Excuse me? No.
No, I'm just saying that. I mean, you put yourself out there far more than I do. So as a result, not to say that you get rejected more than I do, just because I don't get into situations where I get rejected in because I don't push myself. You're much better at putting yourself out there in front of people. I think it's still better to say at least, in the comparison of two of us, you're doing more with your time than I am. But
I don't know. I have yet to feel. I don't know. I've auditioned for a part in a film recently. Probably the biggest thing I've auditioned for ever, full stop. And I got all the way to the final round, and I was getting quite excited. It's getting to that point where I was like, hey, I actually have a chance. And so I had a chemistry read as the final callback. It was just me and two other girls. And I walked in. It was to be a member of a family, and I walked in and I saw the three. They had already cast the father and the mother and the younger brother. And I walked in and I was like, I look nothing like those three people. Nothing at all. Zero similarities physically, facially, skin tone, hair color. And I was like, well, I already kind of got a bit defeated. But then I did the audition and I felt really good about it, quite positive. I came out the other end and the director was really positive and he's like, oh, you'll be hearing from us for sure. You were awesome. Great work. Didn't really hear for a little while, but I finally got the email back last night and it was like, sorry, and been unsuccessful. But, and so I'd asked for feedback, just about general audition technique and stuff as I'm moving forward, because this is one of the more serious things I've auditioned for. And he was like, you literally just didn't look the part. We had not a single problem.
Wow,
we didn't really have a problem with your acting. The issue was purely, you just didn't fit. Yeah. You didn't fit the family.
And sometimes that's just the case.
And I think getting, that's the, almost that's an easy way out kind of the rejection. It's like, if there was nothing wrong with you talent-wise or skill-wise or anything else, it was just, you just didn't look like. Yeah. In saying that, I got offered a different role that was not in the family. So that's exciting for me. Yeah. But,
so it kind of softens the blow almost. It's like,
you didn't look like a family member, but hey, you can be her best friend. Yeah. So, sorry if that made a big bang on the microphone. I just whacked it.
Don't do that.
Sorry, the ASMR effect is gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That's a very unique example.
That's a really
almost.
lucky rejection. Whereas there's been other ones where it's just like, no, we don't want you, and you ask for feedback, and they're just like, oh, the chemistry wasn't right, or you just weren't quite, something, and I guess I haven't really asked for feedback as much. I started asking for feedback now on auditions of any kind of, anything that I get past round one or whatever, just so that I can get an idea of, what it is. And so it's really reassuring when it is things like you just didn't look right, or you're too tall, or you just weren't the vision that we saw. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to get rejected, but it's another to be discouraged by it. I think something I'd encourage to anyone who's pursuing any sort of industry at all, but just because a door is either slammed in your face or closed, gently, or even held a little bit ajar and being like, well, there's another role for you, Either way, don't take that as the end of an opportunity, because there are other doors and there are other opportunities for stuff like that, especially nowadays, considering just how much you can just push yourself out there. The internet has created a resource for any sort of creative work to be able to build up a repertoire and then show that repertoire to anybody, which is really useful. Because you have self-tapes, right, that you send to people. You wouldn't have been able to do that a long time ago. No. All auditions would have been in person. And now to see that kind of becoming a standard, and it's almost like a pre-audition, right, as you send them a reel and also everything you've worked on, just to show you just how, how you've worked over time. I think that's really, really interesting.
Yeah, I think taking it, taking the actual audition process and all the prep that I do and all the scenes that I've learned now. Now I just have I've such a great library of resources that I've been able to practice my skills with and on. I also think that there's a and you might be about to talk about this, but there's such a beauty in creating work for yourself. I've started to realize that I can only get so far auditioning for other people.
Yeah, interesting.
And trying to push we're talking about, push myself out there. I'm really trying. I've auditioned for everything I can and
Yeah.
done, you know, all the unpaid gigs that have been thrown my way, you know, and all the low paid gigs that I can, like, literally anything. But there's only so much of that you can do until you kind of just have to start creating work for yourself.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we're at, I think.
Yeah.
And then definitely how I'm sort of seeing my future looking now. It's a lot more, okay, great. So I'm going to do all these audition stuff, you know, learn all of this stuff, grow my, you know, skill set as an actor so that I can create that work for myself.
Yeah.
Because I think I just get just as much joy out of that as if I get, you know, get a big role in a feature film.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's the same thing in essence. One's just on a really big scale and one's on just as big a scale, but not, you know.
It's almost more personal because it's something that you created.
And if it's, you know, a story that I want to tell, not that I wouldn't want to tell, like I, you know, but it just has that much more.
I think there's a balance of both.
Like potency and also just, you know, why wait around for a big break? Like, you know, I talk to people like, oh, what are you doing this year? And it's like, you know, I'm just seeing what's going to happen, see if I can make it in the acting world. It's not that. I'm not seeing if I can make it in the acting world. I'm going to try.
I want to forge a path for myself.
I'm going to do it. Yeah. You know, that doesn't mean that's going to be the rest of my life, but definitely this year I'm going to have a red hot crack at making something for myself this year in the acting world and in the theatre realm and in the film realm and all of the realms.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can think of a great example that links to exactly, but I was going to talk about it in the next bit, so I'll save it. I'm not going to get there now. You'll see. It'll all circle back together. We all planned out. It's perfect today. It's all connected. But what I was also going to say is in terms of rejection is that it's really important to see every single audition as another opportunity to learn. Like, it isn't just because it was an unsuccessful audition doesn't mean it wasn't beneficial, you know? And I think that's the case with any sort of rejection. Is it isn't the end. It's just like, well, this is the end of the learning process for this thing. We move on to the next one. Like, how much you've improved, I think, just auditioning around is I think, invaluable. And
audition
I think that's
confidence, all of that.
Exactly.
Like, from going to my first audition and, you know, not knowing how to do any of the things or what to even expect to, you know, going now. It's like, okay, I'm getting better. I know what to expect now, at least.
And then you also get to see how different people work, even in as simple as an audition process. And you can see, you know, oh, okay, so this is the way this person works. It's an interesting, can I use that in my own work? Can I use that in something else? Next time I approach a director who has similar ideas, perhaps I can then use the feedback that was given to me and then use that. So, you know, every audition you do is another step forward in any sort of journey. So to see that as not rejection, but rather it's just another stone to step over and another step to keep moving up. I think that's a really positive way to think about it.
Yeah. And if only it was that. I mean, it is that easy to think about it like that, but it's also really hard at the same time. Like, I know when you get into that position where you have been rejected for a role that you really, really wanted or something. I'm lucky in the sense that I haven't been in a position where I've really, really wanted anything yet. I'm still very, like, in early stages of, you know, any of my acting career, but, you know, I know there's gonna be a point where someone says no to something that I really, really wanted and I put so much time and effort into that it's gonna be crushing. And to somehow be able to remember that it's still the experience was all valid, you know. And that's
especially hard because of how much work you put into auditions and just in general, even if there aren't roles that you're so passionate with, but to see you put so much work and effort, someone just be like, like, that's really kind of crushing. And I mean, you can see it throughout many different industries. One of the craziest examples that I can think of is the composing world, where in order to make a demo to send to like a movie, you have to hire an orchestra and get a recording space and have the orchestra play the song and then send that to thing. And by that point, you've invested like hundreds, if not thousands of dollars into getting this demo, only for them to be like, sorry, it's not what the sound. Like, that's a literal like money investment that you put into it. And, you know, sure, that's only for if you're at that kind of level of composing that you can afford things like that. But that's so, like, it's like, wow, the amount of work you'd put into just a pitch for yourself that can easily just be like, sorry. And you know, it could be as simple as a reason of that it just didn't sound like what we're looking for. Your talent is there and obviously you have skill for it, but it's just not fitting in with the
level
vibe.
of professionalism that some of this requires, like, to actually get yourself out there is another thing that I've been noticing. Like, like for something like making demos, if you were to pitch something like soundscapes to a movie, but even like, you know, as an actor, for some auditions, there's an expected level of professionalism as far as headshots go, as far as, you know, media existence, like what your, you know, media presence is, things like that. There's like a level of expectation, I think, that, I'm starting to realize maybe I need to put a little bit more effort into, like.
Do you mean social media or just any media in general?
Or just in general, like,
yeah.
having a website, having a gallery with all your, like, having more than just a headshot, having images that you can provide on a, and so I was like, oh, well, that's something I can start sort of like creating and like curating, because now I do have more content in terms of acting, self-tapes, short films, things like that I can, curate into more of a presence, because at the moment I just have my show reel and whatever self-tapes they want.
Yeah.
But, now I can start, making more of that, making more of a presence that you can kind of market. And yeah, like photography wise, they do sometimes ask for more shots than I sort of have. I'm like, I've done one photo. I've had like my headshots taken once in my entire acting career.
Yeah, wow.
And like they're starting to be like, well, hey, you need like different, genres and, full body shots.
The
and
character
like,
shots?
Yeah, just think a lot of things. And I'm like, I didn't even get them done professionally done.
Yeah.
I should probably look into that. But that's money. Again, like I was looking at costs and they're expensive. And that's,
it's
that's
all part of that investment
again,
process.
professionalism. And it's like, so, that's something obviously I will need to do eventually, and it's something I shouldn't, keep, trying to get freebies from my friends to take photos of me, which is fantastic. And I love all the people that have done that for me. But, there's a point where you do have to actually fork out money, I think.
Yeah. I mean, there's also more of an incentive to do stuff on your own, right? As if you can prove.
And that's very much where I'm at the moment. I'm like, no. I want to be able to do this. I want to show the world that, hey, I can do this on, a student budget. I can do this through favors from friends.
Yeah. True.
You can make it on your own. I don't need to spend $500 to get my, fancy photos taken when I had photos taken that look just as fine for the price of a banh mi.
True.
Shout out to
Shout out to
who you are.
Shout out to the banh mi enjoyer.
But you know what I mean? Like there's like a pride in being able to do it without.
Yeah.
Because there's no less good.
Yeah,
it's just there's something. Some places are just like, oh, but they need to be professional. It's like, how do you tell the difference?
And what is defined as professional?
What looks professional and what doesn't look professional?
Yeah.
As far as I'm aware, they look exactly the same.
Yeah.
Same with like even like if you were to like record. I don't know. There's probably like a really expensive recording studio that you could get, and then there's just like
you could record a demo
in
at
the wardrobe.
your house. Yeah, in a
Our
wardrobe
podcasts
really easily.
sound just fine. In comparison to the people who are probably recording in full-blown recording studios.
We are so kind of ghetto with this, and it's trying to be... Again, this is part of the point. We don't need anything else, really. Yeah. And it costs money to do more, and I don't think we're not that far down the rungs from professional studios. Where this is in a bedroom with mics we have left over. Like, we haven't bought anything
that we didn't already own.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I guess, that's the incentive. And it's almost like you can show them that... like, it's not to say this in a bad way, but like you don't need that role to show that you can work, but you would be beneficial to them because like, it's like, I can do this, but I want to be a part of your project, like I'm showing you that I'm not someone who relies on other people for work, but I'm so invested in this and I want to audition for this because it's something that I want to be a part of. And that I think is really kind of commendable, because if someone was looking at that and going like, well, this person, obviously they don't necessarily need this audition to prove themselves, but they want to. Yeah. That I think is better than someone who is just trying to find work. And I guess that leads us directly into the next topic.
Segue!
Which is great because the reason why I've been thinking about this is there's that Kanye documentary that's been coming out on Netflix, which is kind of documenting Kanye West's rise into the hip hop game.
Isn't his name Ye now?
His name is Ye now.
Ye.
So it's in the documentary. He says that almost like a joke. Because like he goes like, oh, it's in the documentary. This is before he changed his name. He goes, I tell them my name is Kanye West, but they just introduce me as Kanye. And the guy who's filming is like, oh, that's crazy. That's like, they should say your full name. And he's like, oh yeah, you know what? They're just gonna say Ye from now on. And I'm like, that's you did that to yourself. But it's interesting because he's an artist that I'm a big fan of his work. I think he's very interesting and he's a really cool music artist. And I know that he like. I've read up on Kanye and I've seen his struggles almost to get into the industry, but to see it from a documentary standpoint and see just how much he struggled to make himself known. This is Ye, one of the biggest artists in the entire world, and to see him struggle so hard to make himself known because he was a producer before he was a rapper. And I was like, oh wow, like even he can't get into the industry. Like he would go to like record labels and like just play his music at every CD player in every single room and rap along to it to be like, you need to sign me, and they'd be like, no, and he'd be like, well, I'm going to the next one, and he'd just keep going, and then even then when he was signed, they didn't give him any budget to make an album, so he just made an album on his own anyway, and went to them and was like, hey, look, I've made the album, just release it, please. And you're like, geez, like, even in that situation where you're someone who has been well known in the industry for making beats, and then, you know, is trying to make yourself known as a rapper, to even when given the opportunity, still struggle with it. And I was like, oh man, what hope do we have if Ye struggles? But, you know, he made it and he pushed us hard, but it just shows how much work you need to put into, like, never give up and to always persevere. And even then, like, work on your own stuff. I mean, he, regardless of what anyone said, the amount of doors that were shut in his face, was like, I'm going to do this anyway, regardless of what anybody else is enforcing onto me. And I found that inspiring, hey, you know, as much as it is coming from Ye, who is, you know... of all the people to follow. Hey, but yeah, that's so I would recommend the documentary. I mean, only the first 2 episodes I've watched as of the releasing of this, because I haven't had time to watch the third one yet. But the first 2 are kind of just about his kind of, you know, his life growing up and like in the 90s and early 2000s when he was really getting into the hip-hop game. But yeah, it's quite inspiring. And then I was also looking at Sam Levinson, who is the creator of Euphoria, because I was looking up his stuff, and I was just like, you know, because Euphoria is interesting, and I was looking up his work, and apparently his father is a very, you know, Rain Man, the movie? There's a movie called Rain Man. I was hoping you'd be like, oh yeah, I know Rain Man.
I realized I shook my head in response initially, and I was like, this is not just released on YouTube. Yes, I should also vocalize my responses to your questions. So no, I haven't seen it.
But either way, there's a movie called Rain Man. Some of you at home probably know what this movie is. Apparently, Sam Levinson's father directed Rain Man, won an Oscar. He's an Oscar-winning director. He grew up in the industry.
There you go.
And then I'm like, well, in that case...
Always is that. It's always all
yeah, and it's the same thing. I mean, I same with Paul Thomas Anderson, who's one of my favorite directors. His father is a very famous, you know, like song and dance man, and was for a very long time in Hollywood. And that doesn't, not to discredit these two. I think they're both very, very talented creators. But, like, to compare your journeys with them, I think kind of does yourself a disservice, because you're like, these two people have grown up in the industry, and they have connections in an industry like that. And, you know, that is an advantage against other people. And so to be like, oh, I want to do what he did, and you're like, well, hang on, I don't have the resources that they did, or that anybody else does sometimes. And yeah,
that's so important to remember. I think so many people forget. They see these big stars and they're like, yeah, it could happen to anyone, and yes, it could happen to anyone, but you know, you don't have the same, like, there's so many people. Everyone's on a completely different journey, and some people have just, you know, they've grown up in it, and that's why they're there. That's, you know, not the sole reason. They're all very talented in their own way.
There's a reason why they've also been able to get to this point.
Yeah, but there are other things, there are other factors in play, and we have to remember that it's not just, it's not like, oh, they're just, you just have to be that good and you'll get there. Like, you do have to have other things, and you don't have to have them. There's other ways, but it's just this, it's such a complex spider web to get to where you want to go, and there's no right way to do it. You know, there's no... Just because you don't have all the connections doesn't mean you're not going to get there, but in the same respect, just because you have, you know, it's. I need to remember that as well, because in my head I'm always like, oh, but look at all these people that are my age, like, you know, now I'm sort of getting older. I'm really not that old, but, you know, as I'm sort of like comparing myself to people I see on the screen, and I'll be like, you know, do the classic, after you watch the movie, you do a stalk of them. I'm like, who are you? Where are you from? What? And I'm like, oh, they're not that much older than me. And I'm going, oh, you know, crap. I should be there. You know, why am I not? You know, things like that.
Another example, Coda, the lead actress in Coda, a year younger than us, or maybe a couple of years younger than us. Her father's a singer. Oh, very famous singer. So she sings. She grew up in a musical family. No, she's also very good. Very good in the movie, and I think she's a great actress. But, like, you know, that is a factor that you need to consider. And as much as, you know, people might not like to admit it, a lot of Hollywood is nepotism, and, like, that's fine. And those connections can be made in auditioning and in reaching yourself out there and making things for your own. So it's not to say that just because you don't have those connections mean that you'll never make it. But I think you also need to work to build those connections in the first place if they aren't given to you by birth or by friends or by something like that, and that's fine. It's just, you know, there is a lot of work that goes into pushing yourself forward, I think, in this in the entire entertainment industry. So
And lots of things to always consider.
Yeah, so don't be so hard on yourself, and don't compare yourself to others just because everyone's on a different journey.
Yeah,
and a different
specifically
pathway.
in relation to journey. I think a lot of people like you can say don't compare yourself to others, but I think also don't compare your journey to other people's journey. It's like we all know we shouldn't compare ourselves to others. That's something that you are told from a young age. It doesn't matter, but specifically in your relation to your journey, like do not compare the journey, because I think that's an easy thing to compare and think, oh, but that's fine because I'm the same age and all of that, and just because I know I'm not the same as that person, but I want to do what that person's doing. But that's still unhealthy. That's just as unhealthy as going, I'm not as talented or as pretty or as, cool or whatever as that other person.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the moral of this episode.
Yeah, there's your speech. I saw a really good allegory about it, which was like, it's almost like a map, right? And if you think of, getting your dream job as the end of your destination, and the starting point is where you are now, there are so many roads to get there. And some roads take longer, some roads are detours, some roads are scenic, but at the end of the day, as long as you make that destination, doesn't matter how long you took or what road you took or whether you saw other people on your road with you.
Or if you ran out of petrol.
If you ran out of petrol and had to wait, 15 years until the petrol prices dropped and your tank filled up and you kept moving. But, that's fine. And there are benefits to taking a longer path. Sometimes you get a scenic route. You get to enjoy yourself more. Sometimes a more direct path gets you there quicker, sure. But there's no point in comparing those paths because they're all valid and they're all good ways to get to a destination, which is at the end the goal, right? It's just getting there. And however long you take to get there or whatever route you take, getting there is what's most important. So yeah.
There you go.
Bit of an uplifting. I think in an otherwise, kind of interesting episode. But I think, that should be
That's our takeaway for the week and send away for the week and all of the things.
Be kind to yourself.
Yeah. I feel like we say that every week. But just in variations. So
I think it's worth saying every week.
We'll hammer that one in. But other than that, we don't have anything else to add.
Nope.
So for all you Spotify listeners, we'll see you later, and
we'll see you as soon as you pop over onto YouTube for the bonus episode.
Hop over there.
If you want to hear a little bit more, we'll talk about some other things that are more exciting.
But other than that,
that's it. Until next time,
we'll meet again. Cool.
That was clean. I'm happy with that one.
See, that felt less clean than it's ever been.
Really? Well, I felt more in control that time.
I paused for so long, and I was trying to end that for so long. I kept looking at you. I'm like, "Are we ready to go? We're done. We're done."
Yep.
We need to work on our wrap-ups. That's something we need to. I think we need to improve the speed of our wrap-ups.
Okay. Yeah.
Just like yes, we've hit the end. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll meet again.
Sometimes you've decided that we've ended before I've decided that we've ended. Nice to have more stories to tell.
Oh, but did you have more stories?
No, that was the only thing I wanted to talk about was the allegory for the root thing, but that was it.
Good.
Welcome to all the YouTube listeners.
Hey-o.
Thank you for coming today. Hope you've enjoyed some of the extra stuff we've put out, which is currently the unpacking video is out. So hopefully you enjoyed that one.
Is there anything else?
I don't know.
No.
We're not gonna say that because at the moment
again,
of the recording we haven't.
A week in advance.
So I'm gonna say we don't know. But the unpacking video was definitely there. I hope you liked that one. That was a bit of fun. So yeah. Keep subscribed. There'll be more things coming around the place. Yeah. How has your week been? Throw it back on you. Throw it back on you today. No. Unless you don't have an answer, in which case I can go off.
How was my week?
Well, how was your week?
How was my week? My week's been fantastic, Aaron. It's been swell.
This is why I should ask every week, because or are you just stalling?
I'm stalling to work out what I did in my week. No, I was.
My week has been.
Mathematically, I was actually working out when this was releasing, so I could talk in retrospect. But I've decided that's a dumb idea, so I'm not going to do that. But no, my week's been good. Like we said in the previous one, I had some responses from a few things I've been auditioning for. Got a few me roles here and there, just trying to truck along. And yeah, nothing massive has happened in my life as of the time being. I bought some pretty cool overalls. That's probably the most exciting thing that's happened in my last week.
Cool.
But yeah, I finished an acting course that I've been doing finally.
Yep.
Which I've been loving. I'm probably going to repeat
the
whole
thing.
Is that done now? Yeah, it's done.
Oh, okay.
I finished the last module of it.
Okay.
So I'm looking for more things that I can do to hone in my skills. So if there's anything out there that anyone recommends,
leave it in the comments below.
Hit me up, let me know, because I'm looking for more things.
Yeah.
My aerial silks has been going quite splendidly. I'm 4 or 5 weeks in now. No more than that. Although I skipped a week because of COVID. But yeah, so I'm getting, skills are occurring. My strength is slowly improving. Yeah.
Mine is getting worse. I've started uni back. That's been my week.
Woo!
It's been busy, which has been fun. The first day, one of my classes was on the 4th floor of the building, one of the buildings.
The stairs.
And I was running up the stairs. And it was a hot day, but even then, this is not an excuse. I got to the top of the stairs, and I was like, whew, man! I was like panting, and I was like, I should be doing something about these stairs. Because I was struggling with the stairs. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, these stairs are hard. But we said before, this was the start of the busy week, which currently has become more busy because more things have been piling up on top of things, and I have no time this week to even do anything else. But that's okay. It's only the 1 week, which is nice. But yeah, uni's been nice to go back and seeing people in person, and a lot of my units are very creative based, so getting to chat creatively with other people has been really nice and expand that out, because I feel like I haven't done it in a very long time, especially in person, considering everything else that's going on. So it's been a good time. Yeah, I did plug our show multiple times.
Oh, very nice.
I feel like that needs
the
to be
uni
said.
plug.
Pretty much every single opportunity I had to talk about what I was doing, I'd be like, I'm working on the show. This should be in a couple months. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, come see it, and it was like, oh, okay. I guess that's nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. We've got an exciting week coming up.
True.
In a week and a bit.
Yes, we are doing many things. Oh, which I think we should be talking about. So it will be busy next week. So we won't be recording a podcast next week. There'll be a bonus episode. So here, all of you extended listeners get a little bit of an insight into seeing what's happening in the future.
Yes.
So there'll be a very special bonus episode that's coming out, which we've been working on for a bit. You've been working on for a bit, really. Which is that road trip show that we've talked about before. So there'll be a little sneak preview of that.
That'll come out at some
by
point.
Sneak preview, it'll be probably a first episode.
Yeah, first episode.
Of that, which would be really cool. And eventually when that becomes expanded and we get more episodes out, we'll release that separately, like we were saying before. But yeah, I mean, how much of it have you...
4 or 5 episodes.
Okay, cool. 6. So, yeah,
but I mean, bits and pieces. The first episode's the only one that I'm really happy with. That I'm yes, I want to record this and finish it. The other ones I still want to tinker with. But as things happen, we'll release more. But yes, because we will be in. I feel like it was worthwhile mentioning why we're not recording. You kind of just jumped to that. We'll be in Adelaide next week. Yay, exciting times. If any of you are listening in Adelaide, come see our show. We're performing at the Fringe.
Yeah, this is why I was hesitant to say, because I don't know if we should dox ourselves and be like, hey, we're in this place, but we don't have enough listeners.
Why? This is coming out. Oh, jokes. This is coming out after this.
Oh,
this
true. That's a good
point. Coming out the week we get back from Adelaide.
That's a good point.
That's
I forgot
a shame.
About
You
that.
can't have come and seen the show because we're recording this for the week that we're away. But we were in Adelaide last week. And while we're recording it,
so we are currently at the point that this podcast is releasing, we are performing a show in Adelaide.
Oh, that's true.
Literally, as you're listening to this podcast, if you listen to it as soon as it came out, we are literally on stage in Adelaide performing something.
Yes.
So sorry about that. I was thinking because I'm a very cautious online person in general, and I was hesitant to be like, here is our exact precise location during this period of time, because I don't know if that specifically it goes against every single instinct I have about online presence. But also this is an interesting thing,
but
right?
Marketing.
Exactly. This is what's interesting, and I feel like we can even talk about that. There's this balance, right? And it's so bad because my instinct of anything social media is to me I can't share anything about myself because it's not good and I don't want to risk that. But also, if I want to make a name for myself as an artist,
you're gonna have to start doing that.
I'm gonna have to start doing that.
You're gonna need more of an. I mean,
True.
I have a tiny social media presence as it is, but you have an even tinier one.
I have a zero social media presence.
And that's what I was talking to someone about the other day, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, give me your Instagram. I want to go see all your work." And I was like, So my personal Instagram doesn't have any of that. I have one post on my personal Instagram, just because I never really got into it. But apparently that's an important thing. So I was like, bugger nuts. Yeah. I should really start, even just posting more about me and my life, because that is so much.
Which is what I wanted to ask before about audition stuff, which is sorry for all the Spotify listeners who missed out on this, but this is a reward for all of you stuck along. Whether auditions actually ask for social media stuff.
Some do.
Because I feel like nowadays,
ask
I
my
don't know how
Instagram.
much of that is specific to be like you see it. I mean, if we're making a comparison to like the Euphoria example, all of those stars have very established social media presences, which are used to promote and market the show.
Which is why I'm like, I need to start
Yeah.
doing more on my, which I'll slowly work myself up to. I'm like getting to a point where I'm like, I'm getting comfortable with the idea of, you know,
Yeah.
posting more regularly on my personal Instagram.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like I'll get asked for an Instagram handle.
Yeah.
And I'm
It's
like, I
just-
don't have anything on my Instagram. Like I have one post. So I do need to, and even if like I was toying up with the idea, I just create a new one and like solely make it for my theater stuff.
Interesting.
And like that way I don't feel as icky about it. But I don't know, it's a hard thing for me to get used to, because I got Instagram so late in the game. And I'm a lazy social media person. I don't enjoy, I get so much anxiety out of having to post pictures and stuff. Like
I'm what is known as a lurker, which is somebody who has all of the social medias and engages with all of the social medias, but does not actively post anything onto any of the social medias.
I mean, we've got our own Instagram, obviously, and that's, you know, actively, we've got a lot,
which has been a good way, I think, to ease into that fact of like almost like we're using this as a way to, and even then, this Instagram is primarily just promotion for the podcast.
Yeah, we're literally just like, we launched a new episode
We're
occasionally.
trying to nowadays push different things that we're doing, and I think that's an important thing, and that is a way for us to just get more comfortable using a platform like that.
Yeah, because social media is important. More important
absolutely.
than I realize sometimes.
Yeah, so I think that's an interesting thing nowadays in terms of making a name for yourself as well. It's all connected. Is that, you know, you need to establish a presence online, which I think is very, very important now.
Yeah.
I mean, there's even things like there's questions of like whether this, if this is what we would think of as almost like a comedy duo, right? Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are alive. We could start monetizing this. We can make a Patreon, which we don't have enough people who watch regularly to make a Patreon for this. But like, you know, but if we want to get to that point, we need to put more work into advertising this,
it and
you know, as opposed to everything else that we're doing, which is really interesting. But yeah, I mean,
it's a time.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's not get too much down the rabbit hole.
What were we talking about?
I have no idea about how your week was, and then how we got onto the topic of this.
We need a flowchart. I feel like that's a thing that people would enjoy. I would always like to make conversation flowcharts.
That would be fun.
And then you can trace back conversations, how far they've gone. And I think the thing I think it would be most valuable in is in education. Because if you're listening to someone talk about something, you can then trace the steps that they've taken, and, you know, you would hope it be all professional, but perhaps they go in tangents about stories, and that's all fine. But it means that you never get to a point where your lecturer or your teacher is like, what was I saying again? Because then you can like go back a couple steps and be like, oh yes, that's right. So I was talking about this, which led from this, that led from this, that led from this. Now we're going to branch off of that flowchart and keep moving. And I think that would be a really interesting way to like kind of visualize conversations.
Yeah, I agree.
So I don't know, if you're out there and you're a software developer and can create
conversation flowchart,
and you want to make conversation flowcharts for each episode of the podcast, go ahead and that would be cool. How fun would that be? Be like fan art. We don't have any fan art yet.
As it is, I feel like just making the timestamps is hard enough.
You says you.
I said I feel as though I have no part. I take no part in making the timestamps for a reason.
Yeah. Well, the timestamps aren't that bad. I mean, I do them in the editing software. So it's like, here's a marker for the timestamp that says this. I hope the timestamps are helpful. I always like timestamps.
I like timestamps. I didn't know they were a thing.
Really?
Nope.
Oh, because you don't watch a lot of YouTube either.
Nope.
Yeah, interesting.
So I was like, whoa! Yeah, I can go exactly to where I want to go.
Yeah, it's useful.
That's really useful.
But I think, timestamps are cool. I mean, I think a lot of the YouTube that I watch is long form YouTube stuff. So because of that, a lot of it has timestamps because it's like, they're long videos anyway, so they like to break it up into little sections.
Right.
And it also works because a lot of it, like I watch a lot of what I would call them YouTube documentaries, which I don't know how much, to all of you out there who probably know what I'm talking about, they're like those kind of YouTube videos that are very, they're influenced heavily by documentaries, but about very like specific niche subjects or things like that. And they have all the effort and skill and talent and like, production value of a normal high quality doc, but it's released onto YouTube. And so a lot of those are broken up into chapters because that would be, it just makes it easier to kind of keep track of things and format a documentary,
Yeah.
which I think is even more beneficial to if you watch something on Netflix or on like any other sort of documentary platform, because you're like, this is an hour and a half, and to have it not broken down into like at least, you know, very signposted, really easy ways to understand it, you can kind of get bored really easily. And yes, that is a problem nowadays, and I recognize that in myself, that I can't pay attention to something for more than 20 minutes without being like, yeah, all right, what's the next thing that's happening? And I can't do more than, I have to do at least 3 things at once, otherwise I feel like I'm wasting time. But even on like on an artistic level, I think it's really useful to be able to, you know, just break up your story into chunks that are easy to digest. And in this case, it's easy for like us to just highlight topics that we want to talk about, which is difficult because sometimes we go all over the place. But, you know, if and then also, like, if people want to come back and be like, oh, what was that episode where they talked about that thing?
Yeah.
They can go back and find it in the timestamps. So
there
that's good.
Anyway, that's a little rant about YouTube and all those things.
Yeah, well, you know, it's a little bit of everything. But have you ever thought about making a personal YouTube channel for you? Like, to do stuff that isn't, like regardless of just putting up self-tapes, but just, like, anything else? Yeah.
I've thought about it. Sorry, I can elaborate. No. I kind of just wanted to leave it there. Yeah, I've thought about it. No, I mean, I've totally thought about it. And then I was like, oh yeah, I could totally put up like all my weird, like, you know, devised theater stuff that I want to create. But there's just a level of like pressure and like, it's just so much of a commitment to do that I'm not sure I'm ready for.
It is a lot of work.
So I feel like this is just a good medium to get comfy with it. And like, you know, I also do not want to do another thing that takes my distraction away from this. I feel like I've got I'm juggling, there's too many balls in the air right now. I just need to like keep them going and get really good at, you know, it's like when you first learn how to juggle 3 balls. I got to learn how to juggle 3 balls before I start, you know, doing the fancy tricks with 4 of them.
Yeah, that's true.
So there's too many of the juggling balls and I just need to balance what I've got at the moment. Yeah. But I think it would be a cool thing to do. But I'm more interested in making myself a website. I just have like, I'm excited about the idea of having a cool, funky website.
There are website platforms out there that sponsor YouTubers.
Oh.
You know the ones I'm talking about. I'm not going to name them here because they're going to have to pay us if they want us to give them a shill. But you know the ones. You know the ones that I'm talking about.
I don't know the ones.
That's okay. They know the ones.
They know the ones.
I'm not going to say them because they haven't paid us. But if they ever sponsor us, you could use that to make just saying, hypothetically, if there were platforms out there in which you were able to make a website with, perhaps you'd want to use those, but only use them once they sponsor us. That's all I'm going to say. Because, but what would you put on the website?
My face.
Oh, okay. Just a
giant picture of my face.
Yeah.
No. Like self-tapes and, you know, just like a portfolio, basically. Like the equivalent of an artist's portfolio with things that I've done, you know, what I can do, what my skills are. There are
a couple of YouTubers that I follow who are also like kind of they're trying to push themselves into creative fields, but they have websites that basically have collections of scripts, videos,
things like
photos,
that, written pieces, just like a instead of like a website, even less so for showing people and more for just like a gallery for myself. To be like, these are things I've done.
It's like a collection.
Here's some of my writing. Here's some of my poetry. Here's some of my self-tapes. Here's some of my movement. Here's some of my blah, blah, blah. These are things I can do. This is the study skills I've had. Work experience.
Oh, yeah, true.
Blah, blah. All just things to, like, basically, like, a fancy resume.
Yeah.
Like, I have my performance resume, performance CV. Already.
Is that what it's called? Is it called CV? A resume or a CV? I don't know what it's called.
I call it a performance CV.
No, yeah, I was just curious. Because, I mean, they're the same thing, really.
Yeah. But I have that, but like a cool one that I can be like linked to website here, and it just has a more like visual and like, you know, auditory experience. It could be like linked to RnG Live for more creative content.
True. Well, I guess that would probably be part of your portfolio.
Exactly. So I'm gonna look into creating one of those.
Yeah. I mean, I have my gaming channel.
Derek's 2,
Hey,
3,
go down. It's linked in the channels.
2365.
4.
2364.
You'll find it. But yeah, I mean, I also want to make another one that's more just kind of focused on my own things that aren't specifically gaming related, where I do short films and video essays and things like that, which will be cool at some point. That's not anytime soon when I actually get time to do things like that.
Don't get your hopes up.
Yeah, no.
For any of these things.
No. Sorry, we make a lot of promises on the show.
We don't make promises. I've never said I promise anything. I've just said I might be doing this.
Sorry, that's true. We say a lot of things on the show.
We have a lot of aspirations.
Dream big. and go somewhere else because we don't want you here because we're dreaming big.
Somewhere over the rainbow.
Yes.
Way up high. There's a land that I've heard of.
Really?
Once. In a lullaby. I think there's something so funny about delivering song lyrics in deadpan.
Have you seen William Shatner's singing
In the rain.
of Rocket Man?
No.
Every single one of you right now, pause. Don't exit out of the tab, but pause the tab. Go to a new tab. Be like William Shatner, Rocket Man. It was a performance that he did. I think it was for one of the music awards. William Shatner, of course, plays Captain James T. Kirk in the original series of Star Trek. He performs Rocket Man, and it is one of the most fantastic things I have ever seen in my entire life. He performed it just like you just did Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
She packed my bags last night, pre-flight.
But
that's brilliant.
He was so serious about it. I will show you once this ends, but for all of you who are now back, having paused it and gone and seen it, you're welcome. How funny was that? Sorry, Ari is now out of the loop. Now you and I get to have a little bit of a chat about how awesome that Rocket Man sketch was, wasn't it? Isn't it so funny? But anyway, Ari will watch it later. Sorry, Ari, I don't want to exclude you, but I'm having a chat here with my friend, so what can I say? But yeah, anyway.
You're welcome. Just an ordinary demigod. Hey, it's okay. It's okay. You're welcome.
That's a Lin-Manuel Miranda.
That is a Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Do you think he'll win an Oscar for Encanto? Because if he wins his Oscar, he'll be the youngest person ever to get the EGOT award, which is the Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony. He's currently missing. He's currently missing an Oscar of the EGOTs, right? So if he wins an Oscar, he's the youngest person ever to get that.
He got it in the bag.
He lost it for Moana. I don't know how he lost it for Moana. I don't know what beat him. Hi everyone, editing Aaron here. Lin-Manuel Miranda lost the Oscar in 2017 to City of Stars from La La Land. Now I get why he didn't win. But yeah, maybe he'll win it for Encanto. I don't know what else I can think of this year. I don't remember what the nominees are.
Encanto.
Yeah.
We don't talk about Bruno.
That's not what's nominated though.
Oh, it's the other one.
It's the other one. The better one, you know.
Okay.
But yeah, maybe he'll win and then he'll get an EGOT and he'll be the youngest person ever. Or maybe he'll win for Tick Tick Boom, which is also possible because he could win for that. Have the Oscars happened? I don't know. I have not checked. Perhaps they have.
Yeah, they
or
did.
Perhaps they haven't happened. The nominations have come out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the ceremony hasn't happened, so we don't know who's won. Yeah.
No, but I remember hearing on the radio about something.
You remember hearing on the radio about something?
That's so descriptive.
Wow,
It's
great.
almost like that's what the radio is for, hearing about things about something.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Sorry about that. My brain's slowly frying at the moment. I don't know what it is.
Have you ever considered going into... I've been thinking about this
radio?
recently. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. I think I could do it.
Yeah. But what kind of radio would you do?
I have a friend that does the traffic.
Really?
In the morning.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, I could do that. You're like, there's a speed trap on the Maroondah Highway, blah, 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 all roads closed, something, the M1, blah, blah, blah. Now the forecast is 27 degrees and cloudy with a chance of meatballs. That's the radio on blah, 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 107.7.
Welcome to Meat Bar Radio number 101.9.
See, like, I feel like you could do it.
Well, I was talking about you. I wasn't...
Yeah, I feel like I could do it too.
Yeah.
I feel like we could do it.
Yeah, I was just thinking
Hi,
about
this is
that.
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern with the radio, with the weather forecast on... Stoppard 107.7. Today the forecast is cloudy with a chance of meatballs.
Same as always. It's always cloudy with a chance of meatballs.
Yeah, I could do radio.
Yeah.
Why not? No, I don't know.
I mean, what is this if not arguably radio?
This is just cheats radio because we don't have to be live, so that if something goes wrong, we can just be like, cut, pause, start again.
Cut it out. We don't want to say that on the on the live air.
Yes.
Yeah, I think radio is interesting. I mean, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts recently about and they're kind of like, semi-radio shows. And I'm like, man, I could see myself going into like audio-based investigative journalism, if you will.
Yeah.
Where like, it's like, where I could see myself making like that Santa Claus thing.
Cool.
It's almost like a radio show where I just talk to a guy. I think that could be interesting. But yeah, I mean, radio's a fantastic opportunity for things. I mean, nowadays nobody listens to radio. I don't really listen to radio outside of the stuff that gets released onto onto podcast versions of it. But I think audio is a really easy way, and we're doing the road trip one, which I would argue is a radio show,
that
a
is
radio
very
drama.
much a radio show.
Well, audio drama, I guess, is the proper term nowadays because it doesn't go onto radio. Well, yeah, I think that's we have to remember that the roots of the theater have then been also put into radio, right? So that's fun. We could do readings of something. But anyway, sorry, we've been a little bit all over the place.
Yeah, my
today.
brain's fried. I don't know if you can tell. For some reason today, my brain's just...
I could tell like 10 minutes in, and I was like, this is going to be an episode.
I don't know what it is about today, but something about today is I've been really struggling
Either way,
to keep a conversation going in a straight line, so let's concentrate on the topic.
Sorry, no, I think we should just end it because my shoulders hurt from carrying this episode.
Ooh, I'm sorry that I wasn't here to share the load. My brain is elsewhere.
That's all right. I hope you
land of
still
the fairies.
enjoyed the show and are having a bit of fun and enjoying life. And
Thanks for watching Aaron carry this episode. I'll be all better and strong next week. And it'll be much better.
I'm waiting for you to say the line so we can
okay,
finish.
my bad. Sorry. Well,
Sorry, okay. Well, this is the time where I've decided we're ending and you're continuing to
I
go.
thought you wanted to continue. I thought you were like handballing to me to be
I
like,
was
please
staring
talk
at the
more
camera
time.
waiting for you to be
Okay,
like,
on that note, we'll catch you later.
alligator.